We've been gaming, y'all. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Austin, you picked up a new game recently that
did.
you've been playing through. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Scarlet Nexus.
Tell me about Scarlet Nexus. What's this about?
I'm going to read this thing on their website because it's kind of confusing because it's anime and it's a lot of craziness.
Okay.
In the far distant future, a psionic hormone was discovered in the human brain, granting people extra sensory powers and changing the world as we know it. Just as humanity was entering the new era, deranged mutants known as others began to descend from the sky with a thirst for human brains. Highly resistant to conventional attack methods, extreme measures needed to be taken to battle the overwhelming threat and preserve humanity. Those with acute extrasensory abilities, known as psionics, were our chance to fight the onslaught from above. To this day, the psionics have been scouted from their talents and recruited to other suppression force, the OSF, humanity's last line of defense. So basically, you're a dude who has these powers, and you join the OSF to fight the others, and you go into battle and you use your cool powers, and you can team up with other people, and you can use their powers too to not supplement, but to add, like, boost your own. And it's interesting. And when I watched the trailer, I was, I like anime stuff, so it kind of struck my fancy. And I haven't really played an anime game in a while. I think the last one was Ni no Kuni, which was like 2 years ago, like 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And that was decent, and it wasn't technically my forte, but I thought the story was, fairly interesting, at least enough to keep going. And I jump into this one, and the gameplay is pretty straightforward. I mean, you got a light attack, a heavy attack. You can dodge. You can do like these combos, and then you have your powers. And the guy who I play, who at the beginning you could pick a guy or a girl, and I picked a guy.
Yeah.
So he has telekinesis, so he can throw things around, and it's really cool. But I felt like the combat is actually fairly simple. Like, there's not much to it. I mean, as you start grouping up later within the story, you start grouping up with people, and you can use their powers, like invisibility. There's one that someone like raises a dust cloud, and so one person's powers allows you to like see in the dust cloud. I forgot what they called it. Another one like gives you like super shield. So you go into these battles, and depending on the enemy you're fighting, you have to decide which power you're going to use, and the powers don't last very long. And then over time, as you play more with these people, you can do side quests for them or with them, and it helps raise their ability to last longer or do more. It helps you with that ability in the long run.
Okay.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But I actually have decided to not play this game anymore.
How much have you played?
I played 5 hours.
Okay.
It's official. I saw it on my save.
Good.
It's actually 6 hours, but I left the game on for a little bit one time.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very linear in the way that you play this game. Like after you join the OSF, you join one of the groups, like, I guess there's like little groups within this world, and they have a commander, and they take people underneath them, and then they go out and do missions.
Yeah.
I guess it's a squad, something like that. I forgot what they officially call it. But like one is you're supposed to go and protect this, or like just scout the city, and it's super linear, and you run around this very like small area, and it kind of seems big. I mean, looking out in the distance, it looks really cool because everything they have in the game, but in the end, I was just like, man, this is just like way too linear for me. But maybe I'm just so used to Avengers type stuff where it's very linear, but there's just this big area you can kind of run around and do stuff in, even though it's not really the best of worlds to play in either.
Yeah. So like in comparison to like, say Outriders, which was also a pretty linear experience, is that
I would say it's
same kind of deal where it's like you kind of fell off of that, more linear than that.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. At least them, like, they have little areas where you can go explore or like do side quests in. In this, they don't have that. It's just like, here's the area, do your mission.
Yeah.
Things happen. And so I was a little disappointed. I thought I might really enjoy this, and at first I was, but in the end, I was just not going to cut it, sadly. But the cool thing is they actually released an anime alongside this on Funimation.
Oh, that's cool.
So I kind of just want to go watch that.
Yeah.
Because I think if this was this as an anime, I would get into. And after like playing this game, I've noticed there's I guess this is the trend for anime in general, but it's like all the ones that are popular are this guy who joins this force or coalition of people, and they have units, and they're kind of like the young person, so they have to work their way up to the top type thing, and or it's like a school of some kind. Like there is like this story trend that just seems to follow a lot of animes. And I'm like, that's kind of weird now, seeing it. Because like My Hero Academia is kind of like that.
Yeah,
if you know about that one.
I know of it. I haven't watched it, but
yeah. Who are you, Brett?
Yeah, I know. I haven't watched any anime. I'm really bad.
I know.
Yeah, that's interesting about the combat and stuff like that, because everything I've listened to when people talk about this game, they love this game. Like there's been some people I've heard that really love this game because the combat's so great, and that's what shines in here. They're like, this is one of the best combat systems I played in this year, but the story's terrible. Like they said, the story's not that fun and engaging, but they're keeping into it because of how much fun they've had with the combat. And like we're watching a video right now, and it is interesting. Like I love the fact that you can like utilize all the environmental things around you with the psychokinesis stuff.
Yeah.
And like combo that stuff together with your combat moves. Kind of reminds me of like things you do with like Avengers and stuff like that, with like different combos and abilities. Is there a skill tree to this?
There is a skill tree.
Okay.
It's not very big, but maybe it expands over time.
Yeah.
It seems pretty small.
There's no gear or anything, right? It's just like you just...
There is gear, but I mean, I haven't really come across. I have a sword, and maybe you get a better sword later on. It has the ability to like buy the same sword at a vendor, but I mean, obviously I don't need it.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really been like a key feature I've noticed. But yeah, I mean, the combos are cool. I mean, you can do these like what is it called? Like these quick time events, where it's like a super cinematic combo, which is very anime based, and I enjoy it. I mean, they're cool, but yeah, there was just too much of the same.
I mean, it's basically like you're going from like space to space, like fighting bad guys, and continue to go fight more bad. Like it's like kind of like with Call of Duty. Like you enter a room, you fight a bunch of bad guys. You go to the next room, you fight a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah.
Is that like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What about bosses? Like, what are the bosses like? Because this seems like a boss.
They're tough. They're tough.
Yeah, I mean, what are they? Are they frequent? Like, is this kind of like a Souls-like game where it's like centered around like boss encounters and stuff like that, or are they just kind of there to kind of like end levels and things as you progress through different parts of the world?
I mean, I know this one boss that I had to fight, which was really hard, but it was just okay. Now there's two, and the first one wasn't even that hard. First one was super easy, but it was like, we're supposed to go to this town and scout the area, and then we stumble across this boss, and there was like, well, hold out to, we get there because you need backup, but obviously
didn't hold out. Yeah,
we kicked some ass, and then the other one was, I don't want to spoil it. It's kind of a story thing, but that one was way more tough because it did certain things that you had to watch out for, and you had to use the abilities at certain times in order to get the most damage done, but because you had to stun the boss, but the stun wouldn't last very long, so you had to really like be on your toes.
Right.
So you had to go in, do your damage, get out because it's about to get back up and start attacking again, and that one was a little more fun, but it just took forever.
Yeah,
longer than I wanted to. I don't know. I might jump back in again, see what happens, see if anything changes. The way they have these cutscenes, as Brett's looking at now, it's not like normal anime where cutting back and forth. Like they got screens that move around.
Yeah,
that I find interesting.
The art style, what I've seen so far, is pretty interesting. Like it's got a cool visual aesthetic to it, with the city environments and like some of the mechanics and stuff that were thrown in here. It's pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, this is like not my kind of game, so it's not something I would jump into.
Right.
I'm interested about the linear side of it being a deterrent for you, because I know we used to talk about like linear being more of a want in some cases because of the fact that you could follow a better story, whereas open world sometimes lacked in story. But I guess we've been so exposed now to open world games that have been able to succeed in the story front that might have changed that mindset a little bit more than the past.
I think it's more of the greater thing is a pacing issue here, because I'm so used to how animes are told through the visual aspect, and there's pacing there, and they know how to build up tension and then have those shock factors, and then like there's that cliffhanger stuff, and someone's rising up to meet the challenge, and it's just like this, oh yeah, like I'm so pumped. And here it's like you're getting stopped all the time by these little tutorial things that happen. Even 6 hours in, they're still popping up.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, do this, don't forget that. I mean, there's a lot to this game, obviously, and I mean, you probably want them, and maybe there's a way to turn it off. That I should.
Yeah, there definitely is.
But it's just like it's very jarring to me being immersed in this world, and in this one part Brett's looking at, there's a city, but it's not very big, and you just like run up and down the street. And there's like several things that happen in the city, and it's just like, well, that's the city,
Yeah.
There's like not much there. I mean, looking at it and seeing into the distance, like there's a visual aspect to it that makes you feel like you're in the giant city, and there's so much more to it. And my imagination goes a little wild to kind of think about what's going on, but at the same time, there's not much to really fill in more of what I want to see. And then again, like having more open world games, I guess I'm now getting used to that, and I kind of want to see more of that, not necessarily need it all, I
wonder if it'll open up later on, because like that was one of the things that I thought was interesting about like playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like I'd never played a Japanese game like this before, and in that game, it's like the first 6 or 7 hours of me playing, I was in this little small open world town. And then I was like, this is a really tiny open world. Like I thought this would be much bigger and have a lot more to do. And then story beats happen, and then it takes me to another location, and now it's like 4 times the size, and now I'm there. But that was like 7-hour investment basically to get to that point, because in Yakuza it's like the exposition is there's so much exposition, there's so much like so many cutscenes and so many things. It's just like, I mean, the prologue itself was like 3 hours long just to get to the first chapter.
Yeah.
Which was insane. It's just like the way in which they tell the stories and stuff, but it was engaging. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But it just took a while to get there. And like, I see stuff here where it's like, you're talking about tutorials that come in later, like same deal with Yakuza. It's like, you're getting like new things that they threw in there. That's like, oh, you can go to a vocational school now. And like, that's where you go to like take a class. And when you take that class, then it skills up one of your like attribute, like your traits. So like you can be better at communicating, like, improve your passion or improve your persuasion or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And you do that, but you didn't discover that until like 13 hours in the game. I was like, shit, like I've been playing this for a long time before there's a whole nother place here that I can do.
Yeah.
So it just seems like game mechanic or game design thing for, I guess, like Asian
Japanese
games or something potentially.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, if I put more time into it, maybe something will change, and I just don't know about it. But
yeah. I mean, hey, if you're 5 hours into it, it's like, it may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine.
I mean, there's things in here that I still don't understand, and I find it funny. They have I guess it's different. I'm so used to these other games where, like, when you're talking to somebody, like you'll call them, but maybe this is something with like Asian games in general. But like they call you and you like talk to them over, I don't know, like you're talking to them. And this, like, they have text messages that you have to read and reply to.
Oh, really?
And so, like, there's this whole thread. But at the same time, the whole kind of, like, thing about these people is that they have this, like, implant in their head, or they're attached to this kind of internet-type thing where they can chat with each other, like, within their head. And there is this talking of each other.
Yeah.
Like, you can communicate from a distance with each other in your head, but it's kind of like cell phone. So...
Okay.
But I just found it interesting that there's like text messages. Like, is that a time? Is that like something of our time? And now we have text messages in games. I mean, I guess you had that in
you have that in different things.
GTA 5.
Yeah, GTA 5 will have it. Yeah. But yeah, definitely the sign of our time. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah,
right now I'm on the decline for this game.
Yeah.
Sadly, but I mean, if it's something that you think you'd like, I'd say pick it up. I think there's good things here, but for me, it's just kind of fallen off. Yeah, and I was pumped early on. I was having fun early on, but 6 hours in.
They say, looking at how long to beat, it's about 25 hours for the main story, 32 hours for main plus extras,
That's not
63
bad.
to complete. Yeah, so It's much shorter than
That's not bad.
my Yakuza game that I'm playing, which is
Thank God.
45 hours for the main story, 65 and a half for main plus extras. And I'm at 32 right now. So,
What I
yeah.
will say about the cutscenes is that they have these little like floating cells of things happening. But
Looks
then,
like comic books.
yeah, it's kind of like comic books. But then it'll just sometimes it'll warp into an actual cutscene that lasts for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Why would you just make it all? I mean, it's cheaper probably to do this where it's
Right,
not
right.
moving consistently and just the mouse are moving. But
I think it is cheaper. I like the way it looks, though. I think it's kind of cool.
oh yeah,
I mean, I definitely think of it like, you're reading an anime comic book or something.
yeah, yeah,
But it's like the animation in there, which is nice. Yeah, I think it's definitely a budget thing more than anything.
yeah. I mean,
It's like
definitely saves
they're
on
basically
time.
like doing concept art shots and then just like mouth movements.
yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. So you would say right now probably not worth buying full price, but if it comes like
Well, I think you should see what is offered, and if you think you like it, I mean, pick it up. I mean, I think this is a very specific audience,
yeah,
and those people probably know if they're going to like it or not.
yeah,
So,
cool.
But if you're on the fence, I mean, I don't know.
But gameplay's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fairly decent.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's a little more exciting over time. I just felt like at the 6 hours in, I felt like I knew what was happening, and there wasn't much more going on for it. And it's like I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again.